When we look at industries outside of music, whether it's manufacturing, healthcare, or business management, one of the most important tools they use for problem solving is total quality management, or TQM. The idea behind TQM is that continuous improvement leads to better efficiency, higher performance, and stronger results. Now, I've used this in the military, I've used this in healthcare as a Six Sigma. And one of the easiest and most effective tools from this system is something called the 5 Whys method, WHY. It's a structured way to identify the root cause of a problem by repeatedly asking the question why until you get past the surface level symptoms and down to the real heart of an issue. Now, as musicians, whether we're performers or educators or a mix in between, we might not be building cars or running corporate teams, but we do analyze, prepare, and refine our craft every day, just like professionals in every other field. In fact, we're experts at critical thinking. And sometimes when we get stuck or our students get stuck, our groups get stuck, hit a roadblock, whether it be in our performance, our practice routines, or any other musical task, we don't always take the time to ask the right questions to get to the real solution. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Price, and I'd like to welcome you to Intentional Musicianship. This is a podcast that's designed to help musicians go beyond just playing notes as we focus on performance practice, storytelling, stagecraft, and audience connection. Today, I'm going to walk you through 4 real simple life examples of how we could use the 5 Whys method to help us as musicians and educators solve common performance challenges. So by the end, I hope you'll be able to apply this method to your own playing, your own teaching, and take a more intentional approach to your craft. So let's get started. Now, as we recap this 5 Whys, we're trying to identify the root cause of an issue. So the first thing we might want to do is just sort of write down what we think an issue is. Now what we're going to do is be like kids, and we're going to ask why, just like a kid to a parent. And each of these times, we're going to try to go deeper into an issue to see what comes of it. Now, I think there's a lot of ways that we can use this with ourselves, with our students, with our groups. And we can use this with musical execution and technique. We could use this with our performance practice and how we communicate on stage and how we develop our programs and how we define our transitions. And we can look at how we rehearse things in our preparation for whatever musical performance is coming up. We can figure out maybe why our collaboration and ensemble playing isn't working quite as well in a particular section or on a particular piece. We can do that when we're looking at our artistic and life decisions about how we're going about choosing if we should do this or that with accepting a contract or going and trying to figure out if we're going to audition at one place or another. And this why question paradox, where we go through this list, we can use it at different levels. We can use the younger performers because they're always building confidence, handling those first performance items, and we can sort of mentor them through things just like where we were many years ago. As people develop into that intermediate performer mindset, we can help them use this to refine skills, improve audience connection. Advanced performers, we can maximize their artistry and command of the stage, that ultimate communication. And in the end, we're getting them to critical think through an issue and figuring out what the best outcome or solution can be. So let's just take 4 easy ones. But again, we can apply this to about anything. So a common problem, one of our students might come up to us to say, and we might say, why do I feel nervous before performing? Might be a common issue. And so we'll just start out. Well, why do you feel nervous? Well, I don't know what to expect. Well, why don't you know what to expect? Well, because I really haven't performed in front of a lot of people and I've not done this particular piece. Well, why haven't you performed in front of a lot of people? Well, because I've only practiced alone or in lessons. I just haven't had a chance to get out there yet. Well, why haven't you practiced in that performance setting? Well, I wasn't really sure how to simulate a real performance because, as you know, these are younger students and they haven't been put in that position yet. So as you're walking them through, well, why didn't you simulate a performance? Well, I didn't realize I needed to practice performing, not just playing. I thought, maybe magically it would happen. You can think of all these dynamic conversations you could have and aha moments as you're sort of going through this with, especially someone that's not done it. And so that root cause issue with this about why I might feel nervous playing in general might be that we just need to simulate performance conditions before the real event, do some more repetition. So that solution is to play in front of friends, family, record yourself, create a sense of this performance experience so that when we get to the main event, we've already done versions of this so that it's a little bit easier. It won't take out all the anxiety and all the nerves, but it'll give us a more sturdy, healthy performance of what we're doing. So another young performer, as we're an educator, we're performing, we go, why are we making mistakes on these easy parts of this piece of music? Without fail, I'm going through and there's a mistake. Well, one answer is we know life happens. But if we look at this and we say, why? Why do I make mistakes on these easy parts? And if we're asking ourselves or even students, we might say, well, we're losing focus. Well, why are you losing focus? And then the answer is going to be, well, I'm thinking too much about that upcoming next section or what's going to happen later on in the program. And they're going to ask, well, why are you thinking about that when you're here in this section? Well, I'm worried I messed up. I know it's pretty complicated. Well, why are you worried about messing it up? Well, I really don't trust my preparation. I've only got it right sometimes, and I know it's complex, and I've spent a lot of time on it. I just don't want to mess it up. Well, why didn't you trust your preparation? Well, I just didn't practice those transitions between the sections. Even when I do get it, I don't think I've really practiced section A to B to C in the same way. So maybe that root cause of the problem that we're actually looking at is getting people to critically think to say, well, maybe you need to practice those transitions between sections to get that fluidity, that flow. So that solution is playing through those entire sections fluidly without stopping. Now I get it. 2 of these in, you're going, but this is pretty easy. I tell you what, sometimes the best solutions are the easy solutions. I remember many years ago, Joel Cotter had me in the band room as a high school student, and I'm trying to play all these hard parts, getting ready for the, all-state band auditions. And all he had to tell me was, you're playing too fast. That's your problem. The solution is you got to play slower. And all the bells and the whistles went off in my head. The fireworks were in there. And to this day, I'm able to break things down because I sort of understood what he said. I was there at the right time, the right place, and could take action on that very easy piece of critical thinking. So we're talking to younger performers or different people, and we might say, well, why does my sound disappear when I perform? And so if you ask them why their sound disappears, well, maybe I'm not playing as loudly as I practice. Maybe ask them, well, why don't you play loudly? Well, I sort of suck it all in. I'm afraid of making mistakes. Well, why are you afraid of making mistakes when you play? Well, because I think people are going to start noticing me. Well, why do you think everyone's going to notice? Well, I know this is silly, but I think I'm focusing too much on myself when I'm playing as opposed to music and telling that story. And so why are you focusing too much on yourself, you might ask the young student? Well, I'm not thinking about telling a story or communicating with the audience. So maybe that root cause, that aha moment that's going to go on is maybe I need to shift the focus on expressing the music and not just playing the notes. And so in essence, the solution is shifting focus from playing perfectly, because we're all human, there's always someone better than us, to telling a musical story and communicating in the same way we might to our friends, our family. And maybe our final example that we might have is, man, I went up there and I played the music, but man, something was missing out there. I just can't figure out why I feel disconnected from the audience. This could come from any level, but again, we're maybe thinking toward younger students and people that are growing into things. So why do you feel disconnected? And it might be, well, I was playing the music. I didn't know what I really had to do to engage with them. I thought maybe the music would do it. Well, why don't you engage with them? Well, because I am focusing on playing. And why are you focusing on your playing? Well, I really haven't practiced stage presence and interaction. I thought maybe that would come. Well, why haven't you practiced that? Again, well, I thought that music would be alone, would suffice, that the music would speak for itself. And so why'd you think that? Well, I love listening to music on the radio and recordings. And I just never thought that when you get on stage, you have this variable of being on the stage and the music projecting out to the audience. And then I see all these people looking back on me. And I really haven't, studied how these performers connect with audiences and what they do on stage, because I usually just have my, buds in and I'm just going with it. So maybe that root cause that this student has an aha moment is, I need to work on various things, performance presence, and figure out how these artists engage with their crowd just by that natural lilt in their body language and eye contact. And so the solution might be that they need to watch great performers, practice that natural movement and expression, and maybe interact more with the audience naturally in the same way that they would communicate a story. So I hope quickly you can see why I really enjoy this 5 whys, WHY method. It helps us get very easily, very quickly past those surface level answers and gets us our brain thinking and gets some critical thinking going about what might be holding us back. Now, if you or your students or groups are struggling with something in your playing or something that maybe is holding you back, I challenge you to try this method. Write down the problem, ask yourself why 5 times. I think you're going to be surprised at what you discover. Thank you again for joining us on Intentional Musicianship. We'd love to hear from each and every one of you. You can always visit intentionalmusicianship.com and you can reach out and maybe share how something like this 5 whys has helped you in your musical journey as an educator or as a performer. I hope you come back and listen to the next episode of Intentional Musicianship.